The moment I saw the latest interactions, I knew something was wrong. Or rather, something was entirely too perfect. We have all been watching Jack Brennan play this incredibly dangerous, high stakes game with Willow Kane and Nina Reeves. We have watched him act like the ultimate fixer, the WSB wildcard who is supposedly falling for Nina while helping Willow secure the blackmail material she so desperately needs to keep Drew Kane silenced. But what if everything we have been watching is a lie? What if the writers are setting up a twist so massive that it will completely rewrite the last 6 months of the show? I am talking about the mind-blowing theory that Jack Brennan is actually Drew Kane's distant uncle, and this entire supposed alliance with Willow and Nina is nothing but a brilliantly orchestrated, multi-layered sting operation. Let that sink in for a second, because that changes absolutely everything. I have to admit, the sheer scale of this deception is what makes my jaw drop. No one in Port Charles, not the PCPD, not the WSB, and certainly not Willow or Nina, has any idea about this secret bloodline connection. If you ask me, all the breadcrumbs are there, hiding in plain sight. We have been led to believe that Brennan is just another opportunistic player, manipulating the board for his own gain, recovering from his fake stroke at Turning Woods, and getting dangerously close to Nina. But when you really look at it, Brennan has been systematically positioning himself as the only person Willow and Nina can trust. He has been making them feel safe, making them feel like they have the upper hand against Drew. But in reality, he and Drew have been in secret communication this entire time, building a trap so flawless that the women will not realize they are caught until the cage door slams shut. I am telling you, my mind is completely blown by the sheer genius of this potential reveal. I keep thinking about why this specific twist hits so incredibly hard, and it all comes back to the absolute torture we have had to endure watching Drew Kane's storyline lately. Let us be real for a second. We have watched Willow Kane transform into an absolute monster. She literally gave her own husband paralyzing doses to induce locked-in syndrome just to keep him quiet and maintain her own power. We have watched her panic, scheme, and plot deadly actions the second Kai Taylor noticed Drew was regaining his mobility. And then there is Nina. Just when you think Nina cannot possibly sink any lower, she arranges for Drew to watch Scout practice swimming, gets provoked when Drew suddenly speaks, and literally pushes a wheelchair-bound man into the lake. If Giovanni had not been there to dive in and rescue him, Drew could have drowned. The audience has been screaming at the television, begging for someone to stop these two women. We have been desperate for Drew to get some form of justice. So, the idea that Drew is not just a helpless victim, but a silent architect of his own revenge alongside his secret uncle Brennan is the ultimate emotional catharsis. It shatters every expectation we had about Drew being a passive pawn. I love this storyline idea so much because it finally gives Willow and Nina exactly what they deserve. I love the concept of Brennan acting as a double agent, not just for the WSB, but for his own family. Every single time Willow meets with Brennan to complain about Drew's recovery and beg for a way to silence him, she is literally handing a federal agent a confession to attempted murder and conspiracy. Every time Nina sends a panicked SOS to Brennan to help clean up her mess after pushing Drew into the lake, she is giving him the exact evidence he needs to lock her away forever. It is poetic, it is brilliant, and it is exactly the kind of long con storytelling that made me fall in love with this show in the first place. I love watching villains dig their own graves while thinking they are building a throne. But something still bothers me about all of this, and it is where my own emotions start to get a little tangled. As much as I love the sting operation, I am frustrated by the emotional collateral damage. Brennan has been romancing Nina. They have shared steamy moments, they have kissed, and Nina is genuinely starting to open up to him and lean on him as a confidant. Is Brennan really that cold? Can a man completely fake a romance, look a woman in the eyes, kiss her, and secretly be compiling a criminal dossier on her to hand over to the police? It makes Brennan incredibly ruthless. Part of me is frustrated because I actually kind of liked the chemistry between Brennan and Nina. despite how toxic she is. To realize that every touch and every promise was just a calculated move to destroy her makes Brennan almost as terrifying as the women he is trying to take down. It makes the narrator in my head wonder if we are cheering for a hero or just a different shade of villain. When it comes to judging these characters, I have to start with Willow. I understand why the writers pushed her to the dark side. It creates incredible drama, but I still think that making her this irredeemable was a massive risk. She is currently framing Brooke Lynn for Jordan Ashford's hit and run, faking attacks by Tracy Quartermain in Shallow Fountains, and actively plotting to eliminate Drew because her blackmail evidence is missing. She has become worse than Nell Benson, and Tracy was completely right to call her out on it. Willow's ambition and ruthlessness have blinded her to the point where she actually trusts a known WSB operative like Brennan to hide her dirty work. It is pure arrogance, and judging her actions, I cannot wait to see that arrogance shattered. She truly believes she is the smartest person in the room, completely unaware that the walls are closing in on her. Then we have Nina. Maybe I am being unfair, but I am just so exhausted by Nina's constant victim mentality while she actively commits horrendous crimes. Pushing Drew into the lake was a moment of pure, unadulterated malice. She panicked the second he spoke because she realized she had lost control. And what does she do? She runs straight to Brennan for help. I judge Nina harshly because she never learns. She always looks for a man to save her from the consequences of her own action. The fact that Brennan is likely using this exact character flaw against her is a brilliant piece of psychological warfare. She is so desperate for an ally and a romance that she is completely ignoring the red flags. And then there is Drew. I understand why he had to play the long game. If he had revealed his recovering mobility to anyone else, Willow would have found a way to finish the job and kill him permanently. By pretending to still be severely impaired, by taking the abuse, and by letting Willow and Nina think they were winning, he bought himself and Brennan the time they needed to build an airtight case. I still think it is incredibly risky, and it breaks my heart to know how much he has suffered in silence. But from a strategic standpoint, it is a masterclass in survival. He is using their underestimation of him as his greatest weapon. This brings me to the fan conflict, which is tearing me apart right now. Part of me wants to believe this theory with every fiber of my being. I want that glorious, cinematic moment where Brennan stands up in the middle of the Metro Court, pulls out a massive file of evidence, and reveals his true identity to a horrified Willow and Nina. I want to see the look of absolute devastation on Nina's face when she realizes the man she was falling for is the architect of her downfall. I want to see Willow's smug congresswoman facade crumble as the PCPD slaps handcuffs on her. It would be the payoff of the decade. Another part of me thinks that maybe we are giving the writers too much credit. What if Brennan isn't Drew's uncle? What if Brennan is just exactly what he appears to be, a corrupt WSB agent who is genuinely falling for Nina and actually wants to help Willow to secure his own power in Port Charles? I honestly cannot decide which path terrifies me more. If the uncle theory is wrong, then Drew is truly in grave danger, and Willow might actually get away with her reign of terror. The inner struggle of wanting this brilliant, complex sting operation to be real versus the fear that it might just be a standard soap opera romance plot is keeping me up at night. I want Brennan to be the secret hero, but I also love him as a standalone, unpredictable villain. I keep picturing how the ultimate reveal would go down. Imagine the scene. Willow and Nina are celebrating. They think they have finally cornered Drew. They think Brennan has secured the black box from Valentine and destroyed the only evidence against them. They are toasting to their victory, feeling completely untouchable. And then Brennan walks in, but he isn't smiling. He doesn't offer them a drink. Instead, he drops a USB drive on the table. He looks at Nina, his voice completely devoid of the warmth he has been faking for months, and says, "Did you really think I would let you destroy my family?" The camera pans to Drew, who stands up from his wheelchair, completely healed, completely aware, and completely furious. The PCPD, led by Anna Devane and Harrison Chase, walk in right behind them. It would be an emotional explosion of epic proportion. The betrayal, the shock, the realization that every single secret they whispered to Brennan was recorded and cataloged. I wasn't ready for the sheer emotional weight of this potential storyline. It completely recontextualizes every single scene Brennan has had since he arrived. When he was sitting in Turning Woods, supposedly recovering from a stroke, was he actually coordinating with Drew? When he saved himself from Ross Cullum's assassin, was he protecting his mission to save his nephew? It makes Brennan one of the most fascinating, multi-dimensional characters we have had on this show in years. He isn't just a spy. He is a fiercely loyal family man, wearing the mask of a monster to catch actual monsters. Maybe it is just me, but I feel like this is the only logical conclusion to this storyline that will actually satisfy the audience. Willow has crossed too many lines. You cannot paralyze your husband, frame an innocent woman like Brooklyn for a hit and run, and fake a violent attack by a senior citizen like Tracy Quartermain without facing a massive karmic reckoning. And Nina cannot push a disabled man into a lake and expect to just walk away into the sunset with a handsome WSB agent. The universe of Port Charles demands justice, and Brennan being the instrument of that justice is almost too perfect for words. Am I the only one feeling this way? Am I reading too much into Brennan's mysterious background and Drew's sudden ability to speak? Guys, what do you think? Is Brennan really Drew's secret uncle pulling off the greatest sting operation in the history of the show? Or is he just another bad guy falling for Nina's tears? I need to know your thoughts, because my mind is spinning and I cannot stop thinking about the absolute devastation this reveal is going to cause.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.